Hello, race fans, and welcome to Bristol Motor Speedway. We are live here with the Western States Racing League, and just working out a couple of kinks here. I do apologize for this. Just making sure we've got the best show. Chris had a couple of technical difficulties, so I'm jumping in, trying to get the show rolling, but Chris is here. Chris, how are you doing?
Really good. I guess my squirrels ran off the cage, so my internet kind of fell off the face of the earth. So thanks for jumping on there. We're going to give the best show we can. We got qualifying starting up here really soon here for Bristol. So what do we got? About 15 drivers signed up so far, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like 15 drivers ready to rock and roll here. Here's Jacob Jensen, a driver who's won a couple of times this year already, looking to get his third win on the season. Keep this qualifying mode up for just a moment. A little bit slower than what he has been in the past. We'll see what this
I think
qualifying
slight
mode
correction.
is.
I think this would be his fourth win of the season, if I recall. Did he not win last week?
Well, last week was a non-points event, so you might be entirely correct.
I don't know. I'm gonna
trying to
look.
bounce around, be the stat guy, be the producing guy, but we've got a great show for you tonight. Bob Beltrami sits on the pole right now. He's got a 1484. Brian Barnes in second, 1491. It looks like Jacob Jensen is just kind of out here getting a little bit of practice laps. 12 drivers have currently put down a lap time. See if we can get that scrolling for you up on the top side. We watched Jacob Jensen on the racetrack. We've got 3 drivers still yet to make a qualifying lap.
Yeah, Vincent Price, he may just be tired. If I remember correctly, watching practice here, I think he ran over 250 or 300 laps in practice, so he may just be wore out. Just decide he's going to start in the back of this thing.
Well, it doesn't take long to get around here, so he could still jump on if he wanted to. But, yeah, we are live here for 200 laps at the Bristol Motor Speedway. We appreciate you guys joining us. If there's anything that's wrong with the show, not quite up to par than what you're used to seeing, by all means, put it down in the YouTube chat. We'll get her fixed up. But now we're going to get back to the confidence of the show, and let's talk about this racetrack. Chris, it's a half a mile, just over a half a mile, I should say. Progressive banking throughout the corners. Top side's going to be a little bit more preferable, but the bottom side is going to be really appealing to try to make passes. What do you do in terms of strategy getting into a race like this?
You know, I actually, for the first time this season, actually got in the truck and made some laps last night. You know, and same thing with Bristol. Any race, anytime we have a race here, no matter what class of cars you're in, it's just staying out of trouble, right? There's not the corners are fast. The track is so fast with a high bank, and it almost feels like you're on a super speedway on a half-mile racetrack. But you got to ease the truck into the corners, and then ease back into the throttle about halfway through the corner, or you'll lose the truck really quick. But you know, if you can run that bottom line, but is it where you want to be down against that yellow line? But you also see guys running that top, and if you can work that top line in, get it cleaned off, you can make up some pace up there. So we should see both lines working here tonight.
And obviously we saw the short track action at IRP, just a little bit larger than this track by about 1/10 of a mile. But plenty of yellow flags, plenty of cautions, and we saw a spin and win. Some crazy stuff here at the end of that one, and we'll find out if Bristol's going to do the same for us. Let's go ahead and get ready to show you our qualifying order here. Bob Beltrami and the Beltrami Salami Machine is on the pole. We tried to get a word with him before the race. He was more than willing to. Just had these technical difficulties that unfortunately took us away from a pole interview, Chris. And to his outside, Brian Barnes, followed by, I believe, 3-time winner this season, Jacob Jensen. Ryan Steele to his outside. And then we've got Wayne Hutchison, Julian Ritchie, and David Weaver rounding out our top half of the field.
Yeah, starting back there inside of row number 5, Earl Weaver. Starting in that 9th spot. Outside of him, Jeff Willis in 10th. Back in 11th, you're going to find Todd Miles and Scott Kukas in that brightly colored 242. Starting in the 12th spot outside the 6th row. And we go back another row into the 13th spot. You're going to see Vincent Price starting in 13th, Barry Phil starting outside the seventh row in that 14th spot, and then William Fletcher back there in 15th, but I don't think he made the grid.
No, it doesn't.
So we may
Doesn't
have
look
14 trucks. Doesn't look like it.
Well,
A
14
little bit.
trucks ready to rock and rumble here for 200 laps. And just before we get started here, let's take a look at the points. We'll pop them up here on the right side of the screen. Brian Barnes comes into this race with the points lead over Wayne Hutchison. Jacob Jensen, like you said, he's got 3 wins on the season so far, looking for his 4th. Bob Beltrami on the pole, looking for his 1st. He's in 4th in the points. And Julian Ritchie rounds out the top 5. Another notable driver to bring up is Chad Stearns, 9th place. Got 2 wins on the season, but he's using some of those drop weeks early.
Yeah, with this speed, a lot of drivers, you know, we usually have about 20 cars here with this, in the Western States Racing League. 15 is kind of a smaller number tonight. You know, this is week 13 in iRacing where everything's getting updated. And it's quite possible some of the guys just did not get their system updated in time to start this race here on time. So, you know, drivers like Bentley Glazier are not here. And as I say this, the pace truck's pulling down in.
Tommy lead.
Beltrami gets a good run down there on the bottom, but it's Jacob Jensen tucked in right there behind him as they head down into 3 and 4 to complete our first lap. Our points leader, Brian Barnes, right there in 3rd. So the top 3 already putting a little bit of distance back to that 4th place truck of Ryan Steele. So it's single filed out here real quick here at Bristol. And you can see him right down on that bottom line. Looks like we got a caution out. Scott Kukas. We are in the waiting room, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not. So Scott Kukas, oh, gotcha. That's all right. So Scott Kukas down there in the infield now, down the pit road, gonna get some repairs done after spinning out off the corner right there in that Peace and Love truck. Not so much peace and love right now with Scott Kukas. As we get ready to go back green here, so still out in front, Bob Beltrami. Jacob Jensen settled into that 2nd position. Brian Barnes in 3rd. Ryan Steele 4th. And Wayne Hutchison rounding out the top 5. Kukas now back on the track. Looks like we're back to green. Oh no, we're getting a replay here. Sorry. Yeah, so Kukas just kind of loses the truck off the corner. Gets collected by Barry Phil. Really nowhere to go for Barry. Catches that left rear quarter of Scott Kukas as he goes around. Boy, we had a little technical difficulty here. And this is the technical difficulty show. My internet's having problems. Liam's having some microphone problems. So we'll get everything sorted out here.
We do apologize for the kerfuffle we're seeing here at the beginning of this race. Scott Kukas went around. Doesn't seem to be a whole heck of a lot of contact, but he is still in the pit lane. Otherwise, we've got Bob Beltrami still out in front. He's got Jacob Jensen just behind him, Brian Barnes, and Ryan Steele, Wayne Hutchison.
Yeah, he got collected pretty hard there by Barry Phil. He might have taken a little more damage than it looked like, because Barry did hit him pretty hard in that left rear quarter as he went around. So it looks like he's going to be in the pits for a considerable amount of time. Already been in there for a minute and a half, losing some laps here.
Get another look here. Yeah, he just scrapes the wall, gets a little bit of sideways, and Barry Phil clips that 242 Peace and Love truck, and he got a piece of the wall, that's for sure, with that left rear quarter panel. Should be getting the 1 to green this time. Bob Beltrami on the inside, Jacob Jensen to his outside. Brian Barnes. Actually, we're gonna start single file here, I believe. Just given the caution on the opening sequence here. So single file, it's going to be Bob Beltrami, Jacob Jensen, Brian Barnes, Ryan Steele, Wayne Hutchison, Julian Ritchie, John Kenyon, David Weaver, Earl Weaver, and Jeff Willis. Jeff Wills, and then Todd Miles, Barry Phil, Vincent Price back out onto the racetrack. Scott Kukas still in the pits. 13 drivers on the lead lap. 13 drivers in the race at the moment. Bob Beltrami getting ready to lead us down. Chris, take it away.
Bob Beltrami off at turn number 4. We got green flag out. Beltrami with a good start, but Jacob Jensen holds right onto his back bumper. They head down to 1 and 2. Jacob Jensen going to take a look to the outside. I think what you're going to see here, Jacob kind of gets it outside. You can see it. He comes down that hill off the corner. It gives him a good run off of 2. But Bob Beltrami able to put a little bit of separation here on him coming off of turn number 4. Brian Barnes sitting back in that 3rd position. Still Beltrami out here. Take a look here at Wayne Hutchinson back in that 5th position. He's got Julian Ritchie back there behind him. Kind of single filed out here. Not a whole lot of side-by-side racing going on at the moment. As Beltrami now puts about a second back there to Jacob Jensen on that 2nd position. So, but you can see here, Julian Ritchie a little loose there off of 4. Does a good job of collecting the truck, but you can see Scott Kenyon loses some ground, chases the truck up the racetrack. And here comes David Weaver in that 16 as we look off the nose of John Kenyon right here. Off of turn number 4 to complete lap number 10. Still 190 laps left to go here at Bristol for the Western States Racing League.
Meanwhile, we look out the back of Bob Beltrami. Brian Barnes able to get back to 2nd place. He's able to get around Jacob Jensen, who now is trying to defend from Ryan Steele. Steele gets the run up on the bottom side. He's going to get clear for 3rd place. Now 2 different players try to chase down Bob Beltrami in that Beltrami salami machine. 62 is around down the back straightaway. That's Todd Miles.
Yeah, we also missed
forgive me, and he's going to get back out onto the racetrack, do a little burnout. Is the caution going to come out? No caution. Bob Beltrami in the race lead. Comes around the outside of that incident. No caution here at Bristol.
Yeah, we missed it right there. Something must happen to Jacob Jensen because he was running 2nd all the way back to 4th now as Barnes and Steele both get around him. He must have had a little bit of an incident.
We'll see if something did happen to him. I know Barnes got to his inside, but Jensen has lost a considerable amount of time to Steele. Might be some right side damage on that machine.
Looks like we got Steele and Barnes going back and forth to that 2nd position.
Inside wall contact.
Well, Brian Barnes is off the screen at the moment. Where did he go? Beltrami now. He's ghosting in and out on me. That's what's going on. So he kind of disappeared off the leaderboard.
As well.
Yeah, I thought maybe he disconnected or something. So
Scott Kukas up on the outside, back out of the racetrack after that first lap incident. Todd Miles up on the outside.
Speaking of disconnected and continued issues,
inside.
I now got a thunderstorm outside my house, so if I disappear on you, my internet will have crashed completely. So.
Well, the show must go on. Bob Beltrami knows it. He's trying to get on with it as quick as he possibly can. Brian Barnes started to chase him down by a little bit. That gap has now extended once again to 0.8 of a second. Last time around, it was Beltrami in favor by about 1/10.5. Brian Barnes trying to recover this time around, though. See if he can answer. Not so much.
Yeah, Brian Barnes not really closing in there. Beltrami doing a really good job. You know, Beltrami's been around with this league for the last 20 to 25 years, and I didn't have a chance to look at the stats earlier, but I would bet they've ran 100 races or more here at Bristol over the years. It's a favorite track by a lot of people, by a lot of leagues, and I'm sure Bob Beltrami's got thousands and thousands of laps around this speedway, and he's showing it right here as he's out here in front right now. Brian Barnes in tow, our point leader, and a good race going on right here with David Weaver and John Kenyon back here for this 7th and 8th position, and Earl Weaver right there behind him. And I'm still trying to figure out what kind of paint Earl's got on that truck there, Liam. It just kind of seems to disappear. Is it disappearing black? I don't even know what the heck that is, but it kind of goes away in the colors in the lights for some reason.
It definitely does. He's trying to chase down this 2-car battle that's attempting to become a 3-car battle with Julian Ritchie at the front of it. He wants to chase down Wayne Hutchison to make it a 4-car battle. Then Jacob Jensen, he's about 2.5 seconds in front of these guys. 24 laps going to be complete at Bristol this time around, and we can already see differing strategies, differing tire wears happening with these drivers. And John Kenyon able to get around David Weaver to take away the 7th position. He's now got Julian Ritchie just a truck length in front of him. You notice these two completely separate lines as we've been watching on this center pylon cam. It kind of gives you an idea what different lines people are running. But John Kenyon all over the back bumper now, trying to close in on Julian Ritchie. And just as I say he's on the back bumper, Ritchie gets himself a nice run coming out of the corner.
Actually looking really good, but you see Kenyon working that top line just a little bit, trying to get the run down off the hills we talked about earlier. Ritchie gets a little bit looser off of 4 one more time. That lets Kenyon close the gap. He takes a look to the outside here. A nice crossover. We're going to take a look to the inside. He's got a little space. Ritchie's going to give him the line. Kenyon down there on the bottom to see if he can get a good enough run off of 4 there. And once again, loose one more time. So you see these drivers struggling getting off the corner. You get in the throttle just a little too hard and it breaks the rear tires loose on these trucks. You know, I said earlier I got out here and ran some laps last night, and that's exactly what I struggled with. But I have nowhere near the experience these guys do with these trucks at this racetrack. But you can see them still struggling off the corner, just breaking the tires loose a little bit, but doing a good job of saving it too. So good racing going on right here with Julian Ritchie, John Kenyon, and David Weaver.
And that's another thing that you bring up is like you kind of get things going on those tires. You get them stressed out. Oh, problems off of turn number 4. The 77's got around Vincent Price. This one will bring out the caution.
Yeah, at the same time as you switch cameras, Julian Ritchie was up into the fence as well. As he got around Kenyon, and both Weavers and Willis both got around him. So Ritchie also with a problem. You can see a little bit of damage on that right front nose, it looks like.
He's smoking pretty good. He might have a little bit more than just cosmetic damage. Let's take a look to see what happened. First to Vincent Price, who looked like he just got sideways all on his own.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the 62 truck down on the inside. Just got loose up there. You see him try to chase the truck around. He just didn't get a handle on it. Fortunately, didn't make any contact with the wall. Doesn't look like.
Oh, there's Ritchie.
Yeah, Ritchie just lost. I don't know if we might have to back up there a little bit and see what happened to Ritchie. He's down underneath Kenyon here. Actually, he's down the outside of Kenyon. He just gets up in the marbles up there. Yeah, drives it into the wall.
And that was hefty contact to the inside wall. That was a huge hit.
Yeah, he hit that inside wall hard. There's a lot of damage to the front of that truck. That may be the end of Julian Ritchie's night. If nothing else, it's definitely the end of his chance to run up towards the front.
My graphics are currently showing a meatball for the one truck of Julian Ritchie. Unfortunate for him. Vincent Price still in the pits. Potentially back in the pits here. He's gotten back to the field. Gonna get some service done here.
All right, so Beltrami out in front.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm a Minnesotan, so it's classic for me to just tell somebody else to go ahead. I'll sit here and open the door when you're 30 yards away. But these cautions early on, this is only the second caution that we've seen, and we just got ourselves about a 26-lap tire run. These guys probably aren't looking at taking tires every opportunity they can. I think it's going to be a track position race, and nobody's going to want to give that up. So my question is, when does that window open up to come in, take those tires, take the fuel? You can't make it to the end on fuel. You're probably going to have to pit for sure once, maybe twice.
Yeah, and they only have 4 sets of tires as well, so you don't want to burn them up too early. Fuel run, I think they should be able to run at least 50 to 60 laps on fuel. I'm guessing after my run last night, so we're probably looking at least 4 stops, 3 to 4 stops for fuel before this is over.
Oh,
with.
Really?
So
that much? Okay.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. On lap 33, yeah. So I think these guys are counting on enough cautions. We go back to green right now. Beltrami with another good start. Ryan Steele down on the bottom of Jacob Jensen. You can see Barnes up there on the outside. Brian Barnes up on the outside as well, and here comes Steele down on the bottom, but nice shot there off of turn number 4. Beltrami still out in front. We got a battle here for second. Steele moves back up into third around Jensen, but they are side by side for that third spot right now. If we take a look back here at David Weaver in the 16, here's our shot back up to third. Steele now going to get around Jensen. Jensen tried that outside line for a couple of laps, but just not able to hold off Ryan Steele. So
No,
Jacob
he
Jensen
wasn't able to
back into
hold
that
him
4
off,
spot.
but did you see the run he was able to make coming up off of turn number 4 from the top to the bottom? I would expect that to be something you see later on in the race, as Jensen is still relentless, trying to take away third place away from Ryan Steele. He's doing a phenomenal job, but Ryan Steele just is not having any of it, trying to get a little bit more of a gap. It sits at about 1 car length now, and Jensen slides to the middle of the corner. It's going to cost him just a little bit more time.
If you can get out, you know, outside line's the longest way around, but if you can get in there well, you can drive the car in a little bit deeper as Jensen hits the wall down the front straightaway right there, right in the middle of the straight. But if you can get the car in on the top, carry that momentum around, and then take that momentum off the corner, you can usually get a good run off the corner. But Steele was just so good down there on the bottom, coming up that 3rd position. And actually, you can see now Ryan Steele making up some ground on Brian Barnes in that 2nd position. So he's bringing Jensen along with him. We're going to about to have a 3-car battle here for 2nd here in about another lap and a half.
Yeah, Barnes is starting to fall into the clutches of Ryan Steele as Bob Beltrami's opened up just about a 3/4 second lead as we complete lap number 41. 20% of the way through this race, and I tell you what, these guys are not probably even close to 20% of the way through what they're going to get done here. There's going to be some more beating and banging. When we get to the end of this thing, there's going to be some stress.
Jensen catches that wall one more
I don't know
time.
that he did. Good job keeping it straight. But I don't know that this is a common thing at Bristol, but we could see green flag pit stops if these long runs seem to be the trend of the day and your fuel numbers are accurate.
Yeah, we're down to, let me see, we have 14 trucks on the track right now. Out of the 15 that start, actually, yeah, out of the 15 that start, well, actually 14 started, 13 left on the racetrack, sorry. So the fewer trucks that are out there, the lesser chances for caution flags, but I think these guys are counting on having to pit under the caution. You know, yeah, you're right, we don't see too many green flag stops here at Bristol, but we may just see one right here if these guys can stay single filed out, nobody make any mistakes off the corners. Let's see how green flag pit stop's going to shake out here for Beltrami. As we look at all 4 corners into the wall, right up against the fence right there. That's a good camera shot. Out here, out in front right now, about 7/10 of a second back to Brian Barnes. Beltrami's been setting a pretty torrid pace here. Barnes has just not been able to keep up with that 14 truck.
Yeah, you might have ended up seeing a different camera angle than I was showing, but what I was trying to show was just the amount of bounce that there was in the right front of Bob Beltrami's machine. It seems like he's got this thing down pat. It seems like he's on easy street, but there is so much that this truck has to go over and deal with as Steele looks to the inside, getting into turn number 3, sends it in the middle, there's contact. Still side by side, Jacob Jensen trying to figure out which way is the way to go. He's choosing bottom, and Steele's going to be able to clear him through the middle. Does the run on the outside stick? No, it doesn't. Jacob Jensen trying to follow through for 3rd. He's going to complete that pass, take away 3rd, and Brian Barnes, just like Jacob Jensen was on that last stanza of the race, gets passed for 2nd and 3rd in very quick succession.
Yeah, Jacob Jensen took advantage of that little bit of contact with Steele and Barnes. He's going to follow Ryan Steele up into that 3rd position. And as they're battling around back and forth, take a look back there at that red truck there in 5th, Wayne Hutch. Oh, Jensen with a big move. Nice late dive underneath Ryan Steele right there. I'm not sure if he got into the back bumper, got him a little bit loose right there, but Steele up the racetrack. That puts
Steele
Jensen now
actually
back up into 2nd.
He had tagged the wall just a little bit coming up off of turn number 4. Jensen made a very late decision to jump down to the inside. Turns out to be the right call as he's now gapped him by a couple of truck lengths. 64, a little bit sideways coming up off of turn number 2. These guys all trying to chase down that number 14. Bob Beltrami and the Beltrami Salami Toyota Tundra. Tell you what, Bob looking for his first win on the season, but wouldn't be anywhere near his first win in this league. He's been around basically since the get-go. Who wants to just show these guys, like, all right, you've had your fun. Let's let the big dog play.
Yeah, I'm looking up here Bob's stats, short track stats here for this league. Over 244 short track starts. So showing his experience right here, leading this race right there. The young Jacob Jensen right there in 2nd showed his lightning fast reflexes there when Ryan Steele caught the fence, dove underneath of him. Back up into 2nd. He was in 2nd earlier, now worked his way back up there. We look at Wayne Hutchison has now found his way around Brian Barnes for that 4th spot. Wayne Hutchison's starting to come to the front as we take a look back here at this battle with David Weaver and Earl Weaver with Jeff Willis right there in front of him. And do I remember that has Jeff Willis been here very often? I don't really recall that name.
I'm not sure I've seen that 74 truck around. Jeff Wills making himself a one-off type of start. Not doing too bad. He's in front of the Weaver family for now. If he stays on the lead lap, he's got a pretty good chance of finishing in the top 10. So just want to keep that nose clean on the Kingsford truck and see what he can get away with. Speaking of getting away, Bob Beltrami is no longer doing that. Jacob Jensen has closed to within half a second and closing in even more, coming up to a lapped truck of Vincent Price. Beltrami gets loose coming up off of turn number 2. 60 laps into this run, Chris. These guys have got to be feeling like they're on ice on this concrete surface.
Yeah, those rear tires are going away on these trucks right now. You struggle getting off the corners here at Bristol as it is with fresh tires. But as these tires are starting to wear out, you can see Bob starting to settle back here a little bit, lose a little bit of ground. Jensen is looking a little bit better on the longer run here. You know, we've seen Jensen a little bit early in some of the races early in this season kind of struggle on the long runs, but he is showing some strength here towards the end of this first run here at Bristol before we get into the pit stops. And you can see Beltrami chases the truck up the racetrack. Jensen's going to go by, and I think maybe Bob's preparing to make a pit stop. We might see him coming in the next lap or two.
That is entirely possible here. Beltrami loses the race lead to Jacob Jensen. Ryan Steele just behind him, trying to take advantage. And what a move that was by Jacob Jensen to take over the race lead. Going to go ahead and take another look at it here as he just went full send on the inside. As Beltrami slid all the way up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. Jacob Jensen saw it, took advantage, got clear, said, all right, it's my race now. Fantastic drive there on the inside. Did you say a power move, Chris?
Well, yeah, I think he just took advantage of Beltrami's struggling there. As you can see, Beltrami's now also falling back to third as Steele gets by him as well. And as we were looking at all that, Hutchison made his way up into fourth. So I think Beltrami's just really struggling with these tires. He's kind of trying to stretch this out to a longer fuel stop.
If they do end up making green flag pit stops, I feel that the undercut at Bristol, that could vary more than an undercut almost anywhere else. I mean, if you do that at 1.5 miles, you might gain a couple of, well. So I need to rephrase that. I feel like the speed differential on the undercut at a track like this, while the lap times aren't going to differ by a whole heck of a lot, the speed differential on track is going to be huge, just given how small this track is. And if you undercut somebody a little bit too soon, they're going to be able to chase you back down.
Yeah, I would think so too. But you know, Bob's really struggling here. I think he's going to come in here. He's got to come in here pretty soon. I think take some tires on. If he can make a good pit stop, and if he can't pit a lap or two ahead of these guys, maybe make up some of that ground that he's been losing here the last 5 or 6 laps. But as you can see now, he's falling back to fourth. So you know, maybe he's conserving fuel. Maybe he can stretch out to maybe only maybe a 2-stop race here if he stretches a little bit longer. I'm not quite sure, but we're on lap 70 of 200. So if we come in right now, come in at 140, yeah, they can make this a 2-stop race right now at this point. So let's see what kind of strategy Bob's going with here right now.
And that's just the thing, though, is that if there is a way for these guys, if they've got enough in the tank to make it to lap 100, make it to halfway, they're absolutely going to. They do not want to risk the chances. You see Earl Weaver getting around John Kenyon on the inside. They do not want to risk the chance of making an extra pit stop at a track this small. Because if you get caught out, it's not 1 lap you're down. It's 2. Could be even 3 if you have a bad pit stop. These guys do not want to risk getting caught down a lap and not being able to get back to that lead pack with a waiver on.
Oh, definitely. You're going to lose at least 2 laps if you pit in here right now under the green. I think these guys are just hoping for a caution at this point, but everybody running pretty clean. Jensen doing a good job getting back out here to the front. He's got about a 0.7 of a second gap back to Ryan Steele now.
Here's once again iRacing with their new updates. We can kind of see the suspension on the inside, it's honestly, I think this is a beautiful view. You can see how much that right front tire is bouncing around. We're not quite to the level where we can see the brake discs glowing yet, but I would imagine that's going to be coming soon here on iRacing. You can see that red spring kind of left of the middle and the shock. I mean, that's just pretty cool, man. Kind of cool to get that angle.
I think my view's
As
a
we
little
were
bit.
looking
There
at
we go.
that, we have had a problem on the track. Barry Phil has had himself some contact, potentially a no. He's just blown up due to the damage and gone off the racetrack. Elected to reset to the pit lane. So Barry Phil is going to be our second retiree of this race, following Julian Ritchie in the race to the beer stand.
The all-important race to the beer stand.
Jeff Wills down to the inside of Bob Beltrami now. Bob at risk of losing fourth place. I gotta wonder, did he overdo it at the beginning of this thing? Now he's up in the wall coming up off of turn number 2. He's riding the wall. Bob Beltrami really struggling here in the late going of this run.
Yeah, our early race leader led a lot of laps now, all the way back to, where is he back to now? Back to 5th. I'm seeing on the ticker behind Willis, and just barely ahead of this battle. And also, hadn't really noticed, but Brian Barnes also following all the way back to 7th as well.
Oh wow, yeah, the Ford truck started second on the field, just outside of Bob Beltrami. Both of our front row starters not having an ideal middle part of this race. Keep watching Bob here, trying to stabilize that gap between him and Earl Weaver, but if you take a look from the back end of Bob, you're going to be able to see that 46, he is closing.
Yeah, Earl Weaver's coming. You know, Earl's not had the best of seasons here. He seems to have some bad luck every once in a while, but he's running really well here right now, up to 6, and he's coming up. He's making up some ground on the back of the 14 of Beltrami to try to get himself into the top 5, and we've now gone 84 laps. Can they go 100? Can they go halfway in this thing without having to pit?
This is one of the few times that I wasn't able to jump up and get on the racetrack and figure out what the fuel mileage was looking like. So unfortunately, I can't really tell you.
Or we have to be surprised with the rest of the audience. So, but Jensen's still out in front right now. Here, we're looking at the battle here. Back to Earl Weaver from the back bumper. Bob Beltrami in the 14, our early race leader, now falling back here to 5th. He's about ready to fall to 6th.
This is the closest battle on the track. One of the coolest things about a short track like this is that you can see how these corners are set up, how they're run differently, and how that can change runs for different drivers. You can see Earl Weaver generally running about half a lane below where Bob Beltrami is. This time he stayed in line, but he was able to cut down sooner than Bob, meaning that his right front tire has a little bit more grip even in the dirty air. He's just got to try to time that run to get next to him. Right rear might be struggling a little bit more if you see that 46 starting to slide coming up off of these corners, but Bob has himself a tough middle of the corner, giving Earl the opportunity on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's going to get side by side, going to try to take that position away, put Earl Weaver in the top 5. Bob Beltrami falls back to 6th.
Earl was just so much stronger than Bob. You could see Bob struggling from the center off, and Earl was able to get in the throttle a little bit sooner in the middle of the corner and could drive off better. At the same time, Bob was chasing the truck up the racetrack. So a nice job from Earl Weaver making his way into the top 5 after starting back in 9th, up 4 spots now. But, you know, right up in front of him is Jeff Willis in that 74 truck. Has moved up 6 spots as we take a look here at this battle for second with Ryan Steele and Wayne Hutchison, as Wayne Hutchison is now working his way hopefully up into the top 2 right now. He's been looking really good here on the end of this long run.
I tell you what, man, Wayne Hutchison is just looking better and better throughout the course of this long run. Like you talk about here, oh, Steele's going to get sideways. Steele's made contact with the with the wall a couple of times coming up off of the corner, and that's really given Hutchison the chance to cut down to the inside. Another moment right there where he gets to cut down. He's going to complete that pass, put Hutchison into second.
Hutchison from some good pace. Another driver that's been in this league for a long, long time. He's run a lot of laps around here, and you can see his patience paying off as he is looking to be one of the faster trucks on the racetrack right now. He makes his way around Steele for second. Got his sights set up on Jacob Jensen. I'll see if he can make up any ground. Jensen has got away just a little bit by about a second. Let's see if Wayne Hutchison can cut that gap down here before we get to our first pit stop.
Lap number 95 here at Bristol. These laps click away very quick. We're going to hope that this commercial break also clicks away very quick. We're going to step side by side. You won't miss a thing. We've got to pay somebody something for some reason. I don't know. Here we are back live at Bristol Motor Speedway. Wayne Hutchison trying to close in on Jacob Jensen. You can see Ryan Steele has himself a rear bumper full of some lapped cars. He was able to maneuver through just while we were on commercial break, just past the halfway point in this race. And Jacob Jensen now has a weaver to deal with. How can he weave around him? The 16 stays on the bottom side of the racetrack. David not really doing any favors to the 64. Wayne Hutchison starts to close in. Coming through turns 3 and 4. 102 complete. Jacob Jensen is your race leader. He's been out front for about 25 laps. Wayne Hutchison all over the back bumper. Trying to look to the inside. Looks like he's trying to take the race lead, but gotta get there. Ryan Steele in third. Jeff Wills has made his way up to fourth, and Earl Weaver back in fifth. He's got Bob Beltrami just behind him, though. Beltrami came into the pits while we were on break. Race for the lead is starting to heat up as well. Here comes John Kenyon, who's a lap down. Came in on lap number 99. Here comes Jacob Jensen into the pits. He's going to slide into the tires.
What a
he
big
resets
there.
Jacob Jensen out of contention to win the race. He tried to get into the pits just a bunch too hot. Now Wayne Hutchison takes over the race lead. Take a look here, Jacob Jensen. I don't know if he made a late decision or what, but he's midway through the corner before he jumps down to the apron and...
Yeah, I just waited too long to try to make that entry. Yeah, just
there
huge
was
mistake from Jacob Jensen right there.
Yeah, no chance of making that on speed, on time. It was just a tough break there for Jacob Jensen. Late call to come to the pits. Ends up
That is going to give Wayne Hutchison the lead. Wayne Hutchison, Ryan Steele, Jeff Willis, and Earl Weaver all still yet to pit. Your top four right now still on the racetrack. We're what? How many laps are we into this thing now?
110.
Are you hearing me now, Liam? 110.
Yeah, we've been able to hear you.
Okay.
We're all good on that. We figured that part out after the commercial. Sorry, we usually have Chris doing these shows, and he is a professional. I'm out here doing my best. Haven't done this in a while, but
You're doing a fantastic job, my friend.
I
Fantastic
appreciate
job.
that. You know who else is doing a fantastic job right now?
Wayne Hutchison.
Wayne Hutchison leading the race. He's got fresh tires from John Kenyon just behind him, but John doesn't seem to be pushing the issue at the moment.
I'm learning your segues there. That was a really beautiful segue right there. Wayne Hutchison out at the point. He caught Jacob Jensen, put pressure on Jacob, and you know, he may have just forced that mistake by Jacob Jensen coming into the pits right there.
I mean, he absolutely, he might coulda, to quote Jeff Burton, he might coulda. I can think of another very successful driver who has been either pressured or pressured himself into kind of making that same decision. It's a bit larger of a track, but I do believe Kyle Larson drove himself into the barrels, trying to catch up to Ryan Blaney, trying to maximize his pit entry at Homestead. And, you know, it's just part of it. I mean, these guys are out there trying to get absolutely everything they can, and it's just a bang-bang play there for the 64. We'll see if he's still here. Looks like he is not. So Jacob Jensen going to be another retiree. Scott Kukas should get around him in just a few laps here on track, which will put 11 cars still in the race. 12th really on back out of the race.
Yeah, I'm really surprised John Kenyon has not been able to get around Wayne Hutchison with those fresh tires on. I don't know if he's just not doesn't want to push the issue or what, but John Kenyon pitted here just a few laps ago, about 18 laps ago at that. Wayne Hutchison still yet to pit, still got 117 laps on these tires. He's still pushing out there.
I think you were absolutely right. I think John just didn't really want to push, and now Wayne's kind of given him. He said, hey, man, you're clearly quicker than me. Take the outside. Just get it done. Let's stop running around each other, and let's begin running our own races again. Now Bob Beltrami's going to close in on that 17 and try to do the same. Wayne, it's an odd entry into the corner, but you got to believe, Chris, he's coming into the pits soon, right? Oh, contact for Bob.
A little bit there. Well, I'm sitting here kind of questioning the strategy here at the moment. So we're 117 laps into this, 119 laps into this race now, right? You obviously can make this on a one-stop to 200 laps. He's got Bob Beltrami out there on fresh tires. Weaver right there as well, along with Brian Barnes. Steele now into the pits, but these guys have been out there on fresh tires now for, what is it, about 10 laps, or actually about 20 laps now.
Beltrami's been out there for 20 laps. Brian Barnes, he's been out there for 15. Meanwhile, Vincent Price.
And they're pacing around here about a second faster than Wayne Hutchison right now, so you know what's going to happen here when Wayne, if he does not get a caution here, I think what's going to happen when he finally comes in here and pits, he's going to find himself behind a few of these trucks. He's coming down to the pits right now.
He definitely
see how this shakes out.
But Vincent Price is a guy I want to bring up right now. We saw him get into the wall and spin out coming up off of turn number 2. He is in the race lead effectively now that Wayne Hutchison has come into the pits. Vincent Price, he's in front of Bob Beltrami by about 4 seconds. David Weaver, Brian Barnes, Ryan Steele. He's going to get out here and he's going to lead a couple of laps. If a caution were to come out before he comes into the pits, that could definitely throw strategies upside down. Because you would have to assume Beltrami would come into pit.
I mean, look where Wayne Hutchison is going to come out of the track. So you're talking about Price here. He's pitted way back on lap 31, but look where Hutchison's now coming out of the. He was leading this race right there behind Jacob Jensen in second before Jacob crashed, and waiting to pit that long, almost 25 laps after everybody else. It's going to put him all the way back to 6th, and not only that, he's about 5 or 6 seconds behind the leader, about 4 seconds back to Beltrami. So
here's Steele trying to get down to the inside of Weaver. This is going to be for 4th place, my bad. Weaver's going to fall back to 5th. He's trying to get that run up on the outside, but fresher tires on Ryan Steele by about 22 laps is going to do it. Steele also has fresher tires than Brian Barnes, who came in at lap 104. Bob Beltrami, who after Vincent Price ends up relinquishing this race lead, which should happen within the next 5 to 10 laps, whether it be a pit stop or a green flag pass, Bob Beltrami is going to take over the effective race lead. However, he's got Ryan Steele just behind him with 19 lap fresher tires. And just as I say that, Vincent Price comes into the pits. Bob Beltrami back to the front. He's right where he started, but he's got Ryan Steele just behind him with fresher tires within half a second. Brian Barnes not too far back. He's got a little bit fresher tires than Bob does, but we've got lap traffic to work through. And Chris, you know as well as I do, slow cars can get in the way.
But not only that, you're a little bit unsure where they're going to go, but, you know, the 62 truck right there, Todd Miles gets down on the bottom, gets out of the way. Kukas along the same thing, moves up to the top of the racetrack, gets out of the way of the leaders. You know, these guys have been racing together long enough that they're not going to get in the way. You know, and you can see Vincent Price now making his way out of the pits after pitting late here. He's going to be the first car a lap down back there in 8th. But Bob Beltrami now back to the point, but Ryan's still doing a great job of closing up the gap here, putting some pressure on Bob as they're coming through this lap traffic. What, you know, get those trucks on the outside like that, what it makes you do is pinch the truck off the corner. And you can see as Bob cleared that 77 truck a little bit sooner, Ryan Steele lost a little bit of ground because he had to pinch the truck a little harder off the corner and wasn't able to run up the diamond off the straightaway basically, and lost a little bit of ground there. So Bob Beltrami just getting a little bit luckier, timing that lap traffic at the right time. So we'll see if Ryan Steele can make up the ground here once another got clean air in front of him.
Yeah, he's definitely closing it in. It's within a truck length now. Bob gets a little bit loose. Steele has the fresher tires. He's got more grip. But another thing that I wanted to bring up there was that 77 and his etiquette. He came out, yeah, I mean, he was leading the race for a little bit, but he came out at risk of going 2 laps down. And instead of making it a big fight, instead of messing with Bob Beltrami, he said, hey, you know what? I know how I've been performing all day. Racing with the leaders is not what I need to be doing right now, as Ryan Steele completes that pass on the inside. Fantastic drive by Ryan on the fresh tires. Got the inside move done. And sideways is Brian Barnes coming up off of turn number 4. He's going to save it and keep it off of the wall. What a drive.
Nice job saving that truck off the corner. We saw that happen earlier to Julian Ricci losing the truck off the corner, hitting that inside wall. Brian Barnes does a great job saving it, but he's going to lose a lot of ground, going to drop all the way back there to 5th, and not only that, lost a lot of time as he falls back here, got a couple lap trucks there in front of him. But was going to move Wayne Hutchinson back up into that 4 spot. So Ryan Steele, that was a great move down on the bottom. Bob Beltrami gave him the space. They ran side by side for about a lap and a half to 2 laps, and you can see now that Ryan Steele's got that lead. He is putting some distance on Bob Beltrami right now. So as we look back here now, Bob Beltrami up on the outside of the 77.
Sorry, I messed you up there. That was my bad.
No, you're fine. No, you're good, man.
Because we are watching Wayne Hutchison, who has the freshest tires of anybody on the lead lap. It's 3
Only
laps
by 3
difference.
laps, yep.
So it's not a whole heck of a lot. But in clean air, can he run quicker than Ryan Steele? Can he save his tires better? It's going to be a big ask at 4.2 seconds. But we've got 60 laps to go here at Bristol, and
we saw it at the end of that first stint before they came into the pits. Ryan Steele and Wayne Hutchinson were the 2 of the latest trucks to come in and pit. And Hutchinson did look stronger there at the end of that run, but like you said, it is 4.2 seconds. Can he make up that ground? And he's also got Bob Beltrami there in the middle of him to try to contend with as well. So we'll see if Wayne Hutchinson, you know, I kind of questioned his strategy earlier about staying out there so long, as long as he did, losing up the ground, but he may prove a liar out of me and be the best truck here at the end of this run, as we have about 58 laps left to go, 142 laps into this race now. Western States Racing League, season 53, race number 9. I am Chris Murphy, my good buddy Liam Irving, man in the booth tonight, man in the controls here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. We're going to bring you this race here to the finish. 57 laps left to go. Ryan Steele here out in front. We're looking at the 74 truck of Jeff Willis within a good run up underneath David Weaver now for that 4th spot. And that Kingsford truck, good run here for Jeff Willis.
Yeah, this battle has been electric for the last 5 to 7 laps. And Jeff did himself a really good job of just working through that traffic. They had the lap truck of John Kenyon. He had to chase down the 16 of Weaver. And he had Brian Barnes trying to chase him down. Excellent job dealing with pressure on 3 different fronts. He's going to get himself into 4th place, trying to get closer to Wayne Hutchison. But I tell you what, Wayne's the fastest truck on the racetrack right now. while he is the fastest truck on the racetrack, he's only faster by about 0.2 per lap. He's just under 4 seconds back with 50 laps to go. It's possible. I mean, the math could math. But is that gap going to stay consistent through these lap times as now Wayne gets closer and closer to Bob Beltrami? He's going to cut down to the inside. Coming up off of turn number 4, he's looking. Not quite enough to make the run. He goes up to the outside, sets himself up a diamond. Now he's going to cut back down to the inside of Beltrami. Beltrami gives him the space. Hutchison not quite there to his bumper yet, but coming up off of turn number 4, he's going to get to his door. He's going to get to his bumper. He's going to try to clear himself up off of 4, but Bob Beltrami, strong run up on the outside, not going to quite let him. Now he's clear through 3 and 4. Wayne Hutchison into second. Now it's 4 seconds with 50 laps to go. Can Wayne Hutchison get to Ryan Steele with just a couple of trucks in between them?
Yeah, we got David and Rusty in the YouTube chat there debating the tire there for Wayne Hutchison. They're kind of saying the same thing. Is Wayne going to have the better tires at the end here and able to run Ryan Steele down? But they've only got 3 laps difference on those tires. But as we said a little bit ago, Wayne did prove to be better on the longer run. But 4 seconds is a long time to make up here at Bristol. But then again, it just takes one mistake from Ryan Steele off the corner and he'll lose a bunch of time. But Ryan's looked really, really smooth here. 49 laps left to go as he coming across the stripe now. 48 to go, 152 laps into this race. We haven't had when was that last caution? That was way back on, what, about a lap 20?
We've had 2 cautions throughout the course of this race. I believe the second caution came out on lap 28.
That was a close guess.
Yeah, you were pretty near spot on, but Wayne Hutchison is trying to close in right now. Taking a look at some of these lap times, and we'll
He's also a little bit of ground.
Oh, the Weavers side by side here coming up off of turn 4. Earl got super sideways. He's going to be able to complete that pass. Get back up to the front of the field. We'll show you our top 5. We'll show you what their last lap times were so you guys can see coming across the start-finish line just who is quicker. It's Ryan Steele right now.
Yeah, Ryan's going to come across the line. He is stretching that lead out. It was about a little bit under 4 seconds as he gets by, trying to get by both the Weavers here, put him another lap down. They're fighting for position, so they didn't really want to move out of the way, but they give him the space down there on the bottom as Ryan Steele puts Earl Weaver and David Weaver both a lap down, all within 1 corner. So that only leaves 5 trucks on the lead lap right now, with Brian Barnes being that 5th place truck.
And now there are 4 vehicles between Wayne Hutchison. No, 3 now that he's gotten around miles. There are 3 vehicles between Wayne Hutchison and Ryan Steele. So he has to pass 4 trucks to win this race. And he's got to try to get within... I mean, he's got to try to cut down a 4-second lead, which it just currently doesn't look... It doesn't look feasible. 3 100ths faster that last time around, and this lap is going to go in favor of Ryan Steele. 41 laps to go. Wayne's... He's either used his stuff or he's saving his stuff, but we've got 40 laps to find out. Earl Weaver has had a problem.
Earl Weaver, where's he at here? Let's take a look. He's in the pits right now.
Take a look at this replay here. He's got Vincent Price to his inside, going through turns 1 and 2. Gets cleared there. Oh, and just
gets on
sideways.
the throttle a little too hard. Again, the same thing we saw with Julian Ricci earlier. That might just end Earl Weaver's day right there. That was some hard contact with that inside wall.
Yeah, I believe that will be the end of his day. Ryan Steele almost out to a 5-second lead now. This gap is increasing as we continue on throughout the course of this race.
So I'm looking, I just pulling up the stats here. Ryan Steele with 16 wins. It looks like 16 wins here in his career here with the Western States Racing League. Looking to pick up his 17th win. Wayne Hutchison with only 17 wins right there in front of him. So one of these two is going to pad their stats. Ryan Steele almost 5. Ryan Steele is stretching this lead out with 35 laps left to go. It is now almost 5 seconds.
Yeah, he is doing a phenomenal job here in the closing stages of this race. 35 to go when he comes across the line. And Chris, these laps are about 15 seconds a pop these time. Looking at 16. 16 in these trucks. They go fast.
They go by pretty quickly. You know, they're surprisingly enough, this late in the run, we watched him in practice earlier, running laps around high 14s, low 15s. And, you know, and they're still in the high 15s right now, so really haven't fallen off as much as you'd expect, having 70 to 80 laps on these tires as they do. So doing a good job keeping the trucks in one piece. At least these top 4 or 5 are at the moment. So everybody's had a little bit of problem at one time or another, except for our top 3 trucks, our top 4 actually.
I mean, everybody's had a little bit of a story throughout the day, but Ryan Steele, Wayne Hutchison, Jeff Wills, they've done a phenomenal job throughout the course of this race. Bob Beltrami started on the pole, led, the first 80 laps of this race before he got passed by Jacob Jensen, and unfortunately he he fell back a little bit after that, but now he's back up to 4th, and he's trying to do what he can to close in on Jeff Wills in front of him. Might be too little too late. And then Brian Barnes, the man who started outside of Bob Beltrami, he had himself a rough middle portion of this race. Found himself outside of the top 10, a lap down at one point.
Lap down once again.
He's been able to recover. Yeah, everybody's a lap down. But he's been able to recover and get himself up into the top 5. David Weaver here in the 16. He's had himself a roller coaster of a day. We've seen him up in the top 5. We've seen him outside of the top 10. Ups and downs for David Weaver. He's going to be pleased to bring it home in the 6th place in that 16 machine. Behind him is Vincent Price. Man, we saw spin around to bring out the second caution of the race. He went a lap down at that point. And he's done a fine job. He recovered. He led some laps on pit strategy, and now he sits in 7th place, 6 spots away from where he started. He's racing with John Kenyon right now, but a lap separates these two. John Kenyon sits in the 8th place. Behind him, Todd Miles. We saw him get into the wall. Scott Kukas has just gotten around Earl Weaver, who we watched crash. And Weaver, Jensen, Barry, Phil, and Julian Ricci are drivers who will not finish this race. Ryan Steele is trying to finish this in the best possible way, but he's stuck behind Bob Beltrami, and that has cost him almost a second or more of his lead. Bob does not want to go a lap down.
Bob at 4th place truck. Ryan Steele just setting a blistering pace right here. Our early race leader. Bob led 66 laps of this race early on, but is now threatened to go a lap down, and he is going to go a lap down right here as Ryan Steele goes by him on the outside. Bob tries to fight back on the bottom, respectively. I guess that's the right way to say it. So now only 3 trucks left on the lead lap. Ryan Steele, Wayne Hutchison, and Jeff Wilson. I went back and looked at the stats this year, Liam. This is Jeff Wills' first race here with the Western States Racing League, at least this season that I'm aware of. So if he can finish here on the podium after starting back in 10th, will be a great debut for himself here in the Tuesday Night Truck League for the Western States.
Yeah, that would be an absolutely phenomenal showing for Jeff Wills if he's able to finish out this podium finish. Started in 10th. He's going to get up 7 spots throughout the course of this race. We all know how hard overtaking has become in racing overall. Everybody likes to blame the cars. Everybody likes to blame the etiquette. But Chris, we've watched racing for years upon years, and it has just gotten harder and harder to pass.
Well, especially in the NASCAR stuff, they've done everything they can to try to balance the cars out, which has made that more difficult to pass. It's a little bit harder to find those little advantages. So you see a lot of cars, a lot of trucks, that run close to the same speed. So that just makes it challenging. You see the same thing here with these guys. These Western States guys are all really tough competitors. I'm really surprised to see so many trucks a lap down here, to be honest with you. So for Jeff Wills to be running up here in 3rd with this group of guys, just a great showing for him. Really give him a lot of credit. and we look up at the gap and see where we're at. Wayne Hutchison about 3.5 seconds back to Ryan Steele.
3.3. He's been a tenth or so quicker each time, but I don't think that's going to be enough. But to go back to our point about it being tough to pass, NASCAR's not the only series that's seen that. IndyCar, Formula One, they've both, there's been criticism. There's been, there's been talk about it's just too tough to make a pass.
Well, I come from the dirt racing world, so in my eyes, all these other leagues are tough to pass in. You don't see near as much side-by-side racing as you do at the dirt tracks every Saturday night. So a little different world that I'm from, but you're right. I mean, it's just, a lot IndyCar F1, there seems to be such a big separation there, and you're seeing the same thing here in NASCAR. But as they close the gap, it just makes the race. You think it'd make the racing better. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a show for the fans, and to the detriment of the competition. In my mind, I used to, heck, I can remember the days, and I'm going to go way back. I always try to age myself here, I guess, but I saw Richard Petty win a race by 3 to 4 laps, and if you were just that much better, then you deserve to win the race by that much. If you found that advantage, but they've restricted that so much over the years in all these classes and all these divisions and racing series.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with what's popular to see on TV. Nobody wants to, know who's going to win a race by lap 200 if it's 400 laps. And I kind of think that's something that we ran into with Truex. He had such a dominant 2017 season. Even in the playoff era, I would say I haven't looked at all the stats, but I would say statistically, however you want to put it, Martin Truex Jr. would have won the 2017 championship on whatever system. Oh, yeah. He was just that much better. And, I think sometimes we get so spoiled with those 10 laps to go, those huge battles, those side-by-side, Kurt Busch, Ricky Craven. I think a good old-fashioned ass-whooping is something worth appreciating.
I agree.
Ryan Steele has the potential to pull off this ass whooping. I don't know, man. Wayne Hutchison is closing in fast.
Yeah, I didn't want to break in the middle of you. I was sitting there watching that gap where you were talking, and it was about 2.5 seconds just a lap ago. Wayne Hutchison, 8 laps here left to go. You can see him back, looking to the back from Ryan Steele right here. He is now closed within 1.3 seconds. He is coming in a hurry, but does he have enough time? Only 7 laps left to go. Ryan Steele can see him back there. It is going to be, if Hutchison keeps closing, he is going to be within a second here, within another lap. You can see him cutting down almost another tenth of a second there as they come across the stripe.
He's gonna
6 laps left to go for Ryan Steele.
He's going to have to cut 0.2 off every lap if he's going to get it done at this point. 1.2 with 6 laps to go. A little bit of a slide there for Ryan Steele coming up off of turn number 4. Wayne Hutchison strong coming up off of the corner. There's the 0.2 he needed. I don't know, man. This could happen. 5 laps to go. Ryan Steele just trying to hold it down, hold on. Wayne Hutchison has got to be giving it everything he's got coming up off of turn number 4. This time around, 0.3 quicker.
Well, there's the eyeball test for you right there. He is only about 10 truck lanes back here with 4 laps left to go. Hutchison is coming as 3-lap newer tires are coming into play right here. Can he get to the back bumper of Ryan Steele? But not only can he get there, but can he make a pass? 3 laps left to go. We are going to come off of turn number 4, going to come across the stripe here. Oh, excuse me, we're down the back straightaway. we're going into 3. I want to pay more attention. So we're going to 3 off of 4. Hutchison right there. Steele's got the pressure. 2 laps left to go. Can he get to the back bumper, and can he get by?
0.3 of a second here. Just a couple of truck lengths. This is the shortest track that these guys are going to race on throughout the rest of the season. Can Wayne Hutchison make a short track move? Coming up off of turn number 4. White flag is in the air. Hutchison a little bit further back than he wants to be, but the 12 slides up off of turn number 2. Can he send it in? He's not gonna. Ryan Steele is going to hold on. Steele gets loose. Here comes Hutchison on the outside. Steele might have run out of gas.
I think he did. He something happened there off of 4. He got a little loose in the center. There's no way. Did he just? He's coasting down the back straightaway right now. He may have ran out of gas off of 4.
Wayne Hutchison steals one out of turn number 4. He wins the race. and he's gonna get to burn it down. We're gonna need to take I need to slow down and get my voice a little bit lower. We need to take a moment to dissect what just happened there coming up off of turn number 4.
Can we go to the in-car there of Ryan and see his fuel gauge? I'm not sure if you can see that on the dash or not, but
it doesn't allow you, but we'll listen in here. Gets up into the wall, white flag in the air. Through 1 and 2. Wayne closes in.
he's out of gas.
Yeah, there was
out of gas off of 4.
There was never any power coming up off of the final corner.
No, you could. I turned the speakers up real loud. You could hear the truck sputtering through 3 and 4.
My goodness, Wayne Hutchison gets the job done here in Bristol. Let's jump up to the booth real quick.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, we there?
We are here, just making sure that guys are comfortable getting into the waiting room. But
what a finish!
Wow.
I don't. Wayne. It was hard to tell right there. Was Wayne just faster there towards the end, or was Ryan seeing he was out of fuel and trying to conserve a little bit, backing up as much as he could? I think that's exactly what happened there. And unfortunately, Hutchison was able to get close enough to put enough pressure. Ryan had to push and ran out of fuel coming off the last corner.
Well, we'll run through the results real quick before we get to our interviews. Wayne Hutchison gets the job done. Ryan Steele, Jeff Wills with his first podium in his first start. Bob Beltrami, Brian Barnes, Vincent Price, David Weaver, John Kenyon, Todd Miles, and Scott Kukas round out the top 10, followed by Earl Weaver, Jacob Jensen, Barry Phil, Julian Ricci, and William Fletcher did not get the start in. Let's go ahead and bring in... We'll take Wayne Hutchison first. Chris, I think you got him.
All right. Wayne, welcome to the booth. Chris Murphy and Liam Ervig here with you, buddy.
Hey, how's it going on a beautiful Tuesday night?
What a fantastic finish, my friend. We kind of questioned your strategy going so long on that first set of tires, but you made us look like a fool. It paid off for you there at the end. Did you think you had a shot in there the last couple laps left to go?
Well, yeah, I think I did go too long, to be honest. I probably should have went 10 laps sooner. But fortunately, Ryan did much the same. I think he went a couple laps before I did, so we were pretty much on the same strategy. And really, that second stint, he was as fast as I was. I wasn't going to catch him, but he ran out of fuel. I don't know if you noticed coming out of 4, he ran out of fuel. So that was the only way. He was saving the last 10, 15 laps, and that's how come I caught up and got him at the line. But it was a great race, though. It was a lot of fun. The truck was a little tricky. Push loose, and you could see a few guys were struggling, but it was fun once you got in the rhythm.
Yeah, we saw you. We were trying to guess right there if Ryan had been conserving a little bit. He just didn't fill up on that one pit stop. Tried to go light, try to keep the truck as light as he could, make it a little faster, but unfortunately it cost him the win. You just looked better, and you just looked better on the longer runs anyway. Did you have something a little bit different in your setup to help you with that?
No, not setup, but I think the way I was driving the corners was saving the right rear. A lot of guys, as you noticed, a lot of guys were getting loose, pretty squirrely in the corners, and I was trying to save the right rear by kind of diving to the bottom, going in and running up the hill a little bit, kind of diamonding the corner to save that right rear as long as I could, and that really helped in the long run. And that first stint, I was able to go from like 5th up to 1st, and then lead for a long while. But yeah, it was you just had to drive that setup a certain way, and some guys were just overheating the right rear, I think, too much.
Well, congratulations on, if my math is correct, I looked at the stats, it looked like your 18th win with the Western States Racing League in your career. So congratulations. And hey, before you leave, you got anybody you want to thank?
Thank the guys. Bob does a good job running this league. He's running it for a long, long time. And, to Ryan, thanks to him for having a good race tonight. We're all kind of on the same team, so we know what's going on as the race is going on, but we race hard, and it was a lot of fun. And to you guys for putting on a good show.
We had a little technical difficulties earlier ourselves, but we got it grouped up. So, hey, man, congratulations on the fun race to watch, and we'll hope you see you next week.
Yeah, I hope so too. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Doesn't look like Jeff Wills is going to be able to join us here. The second place interview, though, that's going to be Ryan Steele. Ryan, it's Liam and Chris up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, it seemed like you had everything played out perfectly until the very end. We saw how Wayne was able to close in on you, and I know you guys were teammates, so I gotta ask, how much were you giving him in terms of information with what your situation was?
Oh, I mean, I told him everything. I don't know how many laps to go it was. I noticed, or I told him, but after it came out of the pits, or not long after it came out of the pits, I was like, oh, it's showing me 2 laps short. That's weird. It'll probably fix itself as the lap times fall down, though, so I'm just going to ignore it for now. And then I think it was like 30 to go. I'm like, I'm still 2 laps short, and I say that to the team, so he knew. I think we both thought I was going to make it anyway. I did manage to save, once I started trying to save, I did save 1 3/4 laps, but it wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, you were able to get 1 3/4 laps. Walk with us through that fuel saving mode you had in the last couple of laps, because we were kind of questioning. Wayne was able to close in on you, Ryan, and we weren't sure if it was tires or if it was conservation.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, the thing I don't understand that I'm going to have to figure out is I didn't even need a full tank of fuel on the pit stop. So why I was short fueled in the first place is something I don't know. I wonder if I went faster on the second stint and I burned more fuel compared to what I did in the first run. That could be. But Wayne and I were doing about equal lap times until I started saving fuel, pretty much.
I would argue that you were even quicker than he was towards the later portion of that run, but tell you what, Ryan.
Yeah, perhaps. Bristol's a chaotic track, so to a certain degree, I can't watch the lap times that closely. You got to pay attention to the track, but I got the impression that I was within 1/10 of him or something like that.
Yeah, Ryan. Well, you have you've been at the front of the points most of this season. I want to say last season too. You've been super strong over the last, all 9 weeks of this season. What does it take to get that done, and who helps you get it done on that 12 machine?
Well, I think in my case it's just perseverance. Like I'm not the fastest guy out there. The type of wins I tend to be ones where a patient driver wins. So like tonight, for example, you could go faster if you wanted to, but you were going to wear the tires out, just kind of fly all over the racetrack by trying to. If you just were just patient and kept the wheels under you, like Wayne was having even better tire wear than I was. So you needed to just not go as fast as you could. I think that was a ticket for tonight in particular. But just got to keep at it. Got to keep showing up, and eventually I'll get a win in there. But I always have to thank my Dog Bear teammates. They always help prepare. Tonight was it was interesting with the new build and how the user interface got all changed up. So spent a good 20 minutes moving stuff around to where I wanted it to be, and figuring out how to do that. So that's always good to have people who've already done that and they can tell you what's going on.
Well, before we let you go, you just brought up a whole thing that we haven't had the opportunity to talk to anybody about, because this new iRacing UI has kind of blown my mind. I mean, I've been on the service since 2018, and even that, especially the at-track UI hasn't changed since I've been on there, and now all of a sudden we've got better menus, we can move things to where you want. How do you feel about that? Like you said, you took some time to customize it to yourself, but are you overall pretty pleased with that?
I like the look of it. I'm not going to judge one way or the other, because I mean, for most of us, I mean, I've been in iRacing since 2008, so I've had the same user interface more or less for almost 20 years. So the first impression was like, oh my God, it's so different. Why did they do that? But I think people will get used to it. I think it looks nicer just to look at. And once we get used to it and we get all the stuff where we want it to be, and there's some bugs that get ironed out too, because like the VR users apparently couldn't adjust the size of the user interface, and so for them it was too small to see. Brian Barnes was effectively driving around without a rear view mirror because it was too small. So there's some challenges to get worked through, but overall I think it's a good thing.
Well, awesome stuff, man. We'll let you get out of here. We appreciate the extra info and insight on the UI, but we'll hopefully be talking to you again within the next week, and yeah, I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah, sure. I hope I see you many more times.
Yes, sir. Have a good night. Well, that's gonna about finish up the show here. A little bit different of a schedule, because didn't have Chris being professional out here, but
Well, you did
I
a great
tried to
job, my
step
friend.
up.
Great. It was a little different sitting back here just kind of with my arms crossed and not really doing nothing but watching the screen, but appreciate you jumping in there. I just had some network issues, hoping to get that resolved before next week as we go to New Hampshire. Looking forward. I don't think I've not covered a race at New Hampshire yet, so that'd be interesting. So, and
oh, it is fun there. It is so much fun, and these guys, they're gonna put on a heck of a show. I know we had a shorter field tonight due to the size of the iRacing update that came through here, but still a really good show with 15 drivers, 14 drivers. You can see our finishing order here one more time as Wayne Hutchison, Ryan Steele, and Jeff Wills round out the podium. Posted our Bob Beltrami was unable to stay where he started. Finishes fourth. Brian Barnes, Vincent Price, David Weaver, John Kenyon, Todd Miles, Scott Kukas top 10, then Earl Weaver, Jacob Jensen, Barry Phil, Julian Ritchie.
I'll finish in the pits. The last 11th through 14th anyway.
They did. Well, I'm not good at leading, but I like to bring up Tony's old phrase. As you guys walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Chris, you got anything?
I think that pretty much nails it right there, my friend. We will see you all again next week. Jump on here, watch Sim Racing Media, pick up some other races. We got some other stuff going on this weekend, so jump on here, take a look. If you're looking, you got a league out there, you're looking to get some media coverage, reach out to us at simracingmedia.com, and we'll see you all again next week in New Hampshire.